Hello, everyone. Welcome to Here on Earth. My name is Marley Daintree. I am your host. My guest today is a friend of mine, Irena. Irena has always been on a quest for self discovery and well being. Through her journey, she shares insights on health, wellness, personal growth, and the power of community and embracing the freedom that comes from showing up authentically. After struggling with wild and unruly hair for years, Irena turned to holistic ways to manage and style it. She sought products that were not only healthy but aligned with her values. After countless trials with organic, non toxic products, she finally discovered a line that not only gets great results but also offers opportunities to build her dream life. We talk about hair, health, human design, and personal growth and decision making. She dives into the role of hair in shaping our identity, the importance of building a supportive community, and finding your tribe in a world filled with fear and uncertainty. I hope you enjoy today's conversation. Welcome, Irena.
Awesome.
Hello, Irena. Welcome to Here on Earth, my very professional podcast. We were just laughing that I'm still not very good at introductions and beginnings of podcasts, but that's all right. So, Irena and I actually lived near each other for many years. Irena is now in Greece, but we have been neighbors for a while and we've connected recently around Monat and shampoo and online stuff. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, Irena? And if you want to share any sort of pivotal moments or yeah, how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I really felt quite honored when you asked if I'd come on your podcast. It's been lovely to connect with you. And to be honest, I don't even know, I don't know what to share or where to start really about myself. I can tell you all the really, generic stuff. I'm 32 years old, married, Greek, Territorian, born and raised in the territory. And I guess everything, my life's been amazing. Had an incredible childhood, living and growing up in Darwin. You know how it is. I think our childhoods are the best. And I guess for me, my journey really began when I finished school. I think up until high school, everything felt pretty, normal as it does. And then I remember when I just finished high school, it was actually my formal night. I remember coming home from my formal and I remember feeling really unhappy with my health at the time. I think it was mainly the way I looked, which was ridiculous because I was looked fine, but that was kind of the catalyst of everything else that was to come. So I remember I finished high school and I went to university to study business, Bachelor of Commerce, and I decided that I was going to start my health journey. And I feel like just that moment of changing, like transitioning from high school to university was really pivotal for me. And I think it was because I just started learning so many new things. Like I was on my health journey, I was going to the gym regularly. Growing up, I didn't know while it was happening, but it wasn't until I started actually taking care of my health, I realized how much I really struggled with my energy. And just like I couldn't keep up with my peers when I think about it. Like in primary school, I hated PE, I hated physical education, for anyone that doesn't know. I hated being outside. My mum was always walking the foreshore and she'd be like, Irena, come with me. And I'd be like, no, I'm staying inside in the aircon. Like I was just a very, what I thought a really lazy child. But as I started to embark on this journey, I think I just realized how much of my health I didn't really pay attention to, maybe nutritionally, maybe when it came to my sleep, I was always really tired. I was always going to bed really late, waking up late, running late for everything. And I think that once I started to make, those changes, when I started going to uni, I just really started to learn so much about myself. So I guess it went from going to the gym and, being part of that kind of lifestyle that just led me into many other things. And that's where I guess I really started to learn about health and I started doing all of these. And, I was going to yoga really regularly. And I remember having this realization where I had caught up with a friend of mine from high school. And because I'm Greek and, I live in Darwin, come from a really small community within a small community. And when I caught up with this friend of mine, I realized that we had nothing to talk about other than what's been going on. I'd learnt all of these things. I was really excited about the journey that I was on. Like I was reading books and just like I just could feel my brain and my world expanding, and I really wanted to share that with someone. And I just felt like I couldn't, And it was a weird moment because I just remember thinking like, oh man, like, I don't really have my people. I don't really have people who are on the same journey as mine. So that, led me to kind of feeling like I had to look outside and look elsewhere and basically like almost like create a new world for myself because I realized that everyone that I ever knew was only because it, it's kind of like go to high school and you sit with the people that you already know, maybe from primary school, or you'll sit with the people that have certain commonalities. Like for me, it was the Greek kids, because I knew the Greek kids, so I'd go sit with them. And it was this realization all of a sudden that, yeah, I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to connect with people on things that I was actually passionate about. But I think it was also just the beginning of discovering who I really am. And I felt like that was happening really late in my life. But when I think about it, it wasn't actually. It was, I think it was in normal, I guess, a normal trajectory of transitions that happen in your life.
Just on the energy bit, I think that's interesting. I asked you to share your human design with me before we started, and you are a manifester. And so there's probably heaps of people listening to this podcast that know much more about human design than me, and they can correct me. But my understanding of manifestors is that you have like 10% energy, 90% rest. So it's like you get these huge bursts of energy for the things that you are here to initiate into the world, and then you recover. It's like, so I think like my son's a manifester and he's got so much energy, but he also doesn't do anything that he doesn't want to do. Like we homeschool, so he spends a huge part of the day laying around, and then he'll be like climbing the walls for a little while and then he rests again. And yeah.
That's so interesting, and I'm just learning about human design, but I have felt that my whole life. What you're talking of, what you just described, that is how I am. It's like my energy. If I don't want to do something, I don't want to do it, and it feels like I'm expending a lot of energy doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think a lot of
yeah,
people
amazing.
find, validation in learning their type as well. And especially I've heard people speak about as a manifester that you have like a repelling aura. So it's like you're here to bring new things into the world. And because of that, you need this aura that pushes people out of your way. But I think that as a young person, and especially as a woman or as a young girl, it can feel really weird. Like, why are people freaked out by me? Why are people like, whoa, when I walk into the room?
Yeah, I thought that was just resting bitch face, but that's what it must be. That's what it must be.
Hmm.
That feels really accurate and applicable, to be honest. And yeah, it's kind of, I feel like it's one of those things where it's maybe like people either love you or hate you. That was kind of where I was up to with that. So then I just, got into my own thing and I discovered network marketing. So I stumbled upon doTERRA, just being, into the health and wellness space. And when I joined that, that was another like massive, pivotal moment for me because I came into this world of personal development and entrepreneurship and learning, about new ways where you can earn an income. And I, again, just felt, oh, I was like so hungry for it. And just, it was like another new beginning. And I really, dived deep into that. And I felt like when I look back at that time, so I started in 2014, maybe 2015, 2016. And I look back at the time and I just think, what was I doing? I can't really remember what I was up to because I was so immersed in, sharing the oils and just, I felt like I was in my own little bubble, I was running workshops, I was doing Facebook Lives, I was just doing my own thing and I absolutely loved it. And that taught me, I don't know, I guess I never really thought I was someone who would do things differently, to be honest, growing up. But when I started, I guess, to do these things, I realized how it was easy for me to embrace and take on things that most people find unusual or might, be hesitant about. And I've always been someone who really likes to form my own opinion on things. If I see something and I'm intrigued by it, I'll do it, I'll try it, I'll just see what I think about it. I really like that. I like taking things on myself. I'll listen to someone's opinion and be like, okay, yep, I could see why you might think that, but I'm going to give it a try myself. So that really, yeah, started a lot. And I was still pretty young when I did that. That was, I think I might have been around 21 when I started. So that was, a massive thing for me to do. And I learned so much throughout that process. I feel like network marketing taught me a lot of basic skills, really helped me with learning how to connect with people, helped me with social media, helped me with events. And what we were saying back to the energy thing, the events would take so much out of me. I would do one event a week and it would be like a little workshop and I'd feel like so knackered afterwards. But I also did enjoy it. Like I got a lot out of it. So yeah, I was doing that for a while, but I loved selling the products, but I really struggled with building a team in that season of my life. And that was something that really I felt held me back from progressing.
I was just thinking when you were speaking, I couldn't help think again of your chart that your lines are 1 and 4. So 1 is the investigator and 4 is the networker. So it's like you're investigating and then you're telling your network about it. So how perfectly do we live out our charts without ever knowing about them?
Yeah, and that's basically what I was doing on my social media page.
Yeah.
It was trying things and telling people about it. And naturally, I'm an oversharer. Also, I've been told my whole life, I just want to, like, if I love something, I'm going to tell you about it. And if I learn about something, I'm going to tell you about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really struggling with that aspect of building a team and building, like expanding my business that way. And I think looking back on it now, I think that I lost a lot of confidence in that, in myself in that, because I thought that in order for me to progress and be really good at something, I had to help others. And if I couldn't help others and other people didn't want to do it with me, then how could I be successful at it? So I really stopped with trying to grow the business as much. And I took a different direction with my page and I just focused more on sharing things that I was passionate about. And at that time was, my health journey and like I said, like diets and things that I was trying. And then I eventually had to, like, everything actually fell into place, to be honest, because it was probably in 2019 that I really pulled back from my doTERRA business. And that was because I had to pick up more time and responsibility in my traditional job. So I made that transition. And then eventually that kind of just, yeah, phased out by itself.
I was just thinking that, yeah, 21's so young. When I first sort of started looking into network marketing, or like when I first heard about it, I think the only like network marketing that I thought of was Avon. Like I remember at school that people's mums had Avon.
Tupperware?
Yeah, that was the only thing that I knew about. And then when I heard about it again through another company, my first thought was like, oh my God, I wish I did this when I was younger. Like, I wish I did this
Really?
earlier. I wish I set it up like, I wish I spent my 20s doing this instead of what I was doing, which was, but at the same time, I do think that there is sort of, I don't know, I know that, yeah, like it would have been great if I was doing that when I was younger, but I know that when I was younger, I didn't really have that kind of confidence or
Mm.
steadiness or anything like that. I was like, yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, it's a really young age, 21, really. Like if I look at the 21-year-olds and I know now,
Mm.
some of them are very switched on now with opportunities and getting stuff done. Yeah, so yeah, sorry. Let me think about what I was saying. Yeah, so that kind of all fell into place. Then of course COVID happened, so 2022 came around and that was another huge, I guess few transformational years for me. So I think when that came along, I had actually just been down the rabbit hole in 2019. So in 20, I remember 2014, because I'd been exploring like alternate and, natural therapies, I was really, really interested in it. I had come across a few things. I'd actually come across the docu-series. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, The Truth About Cancer. So it's like a 14-part mini series, and I don't know how I actually found it, but I was trying to get everyone onto it. I was so fascinated by this series, and they basically talked about different, alternative therapies and different things, nutrition, like there was so much. And I remember in that I had learnt a lot, I guess, about, pharma and that kind of thing. So in 2019, I don't know what it was, but I decided that I was going to go down the rabbit hole of vaccines. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to
Yeah,
gonna
no, totally.
shadow ban your podcast. Yeah, so I went down that rabbit hole, and I don't know, I was just at this stage in my life where I was like, oh, I'm gonna really look into them. Like I'd heard about things and I guess I hadn't had to deal with it at all. I was like, I'll have a look into it. And I just remember I came across Taylor Winterstein, who's my mentor, and I came across her page, and she was the only one in Australia that I felt at the time was a little bit more, younger generation, more mainstream on social media, who was talking about these things. So I started following Tay, and I was just so amazed by her confidence and her tenacity to share what she was sharing on such a public platform. I kind of felt like until then it had been a little bit underground, It was, like some of the older generations, obviously, like the Australian Vaccine Network, like there were definitely organizations and movements happening, but it wasn't something that I'd seen come to the forefront so much. And I just remember being really interested in what Tay was sharing. And I kind of started, having the confidence to have that conversation as well, just on my social media. And I think that, then when 2020 came around, it just felt like everything had aligned perfectly because I'd really gotten into it in 2019. 2020 came around. Obviously, the pandemic happened, and that was intense.
Yeah. I grew up like with, I don't know, like hippies and lots of sort of alternate people and stuff like that. So it was always part of my upbringing that vaccines were bad or whatever. Even though I had quite a few myself as a older child and teenager. But I remember when I was like just the year before I had my son, which would have been like 2018, I worked with a woman who was what I thought looked really mainstream. Like she was a lawyer, she was very like pretty in a really traditional mainstream way, and she was so strong about like vaccines are pure poison and they have no benefit to your health. And I just never, yeah, I had the same thing of like, oh, this is someone so young, so mainstream, so normal, who's so clear about what she thinks. And I think that, it's one of those things at the start, it's like, I remember like for the first year of not vaccinating my son, I felt really iffy about it. And I felt like really shy and sort of ashamed and things like that. And then like now I think the world has changed so much that it's like there still are people out there that, are into vaccines and stuff. But I feel so far removed from that. It's like now in most circles that I know, it's very obvious that like this is a sham and has nothing to do with health or
Exactly.
well-being. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was not a thing growing up. Like, I don't remember the conversation ever happening.
Mm,
I don't remember it being a conversation. Like, I don't feel like my parents or my family or those around us were one way or the other.
mm,
It was just something that it wasn't even discussed. But I remember when I went down the rabbit hole in 2019, it was full on. Like it felt very, it felt really big. Like it felt like my whole world had been turned upside down, which was weird because like nothing had happened. There was no injury or anything like that to say that there was, like this initial thing. But I guess, yeah, that was just massive because then I took on this thing of like, I'm going to inform everyone and I'm going to be like, I don't know, I took on the tinfoil hat really seriously. I was like, all right, my job is to inform my community. And I actually, I feel like that role, and again, like back to what you're saying about like my human design, like that was what I was going to do, and that's what I started doing. And I really wanted, I feel passionate about my community, and I wanted to show people that you can be someone who, is educated, is more mainstream, who has these opinions. You don't have to be the classic like hippie, what people think, someone has to be to think or live a certain way, I guess. So that's yeah, that was the role that I had. And then obviously when COVID happened, well, I was like with my megaphone, I was like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna, like take this on and let everyone know like what a scam this is. And I look back at the time now and I don't know, like to be honest, when it was all said and done, I think I had a massive vulnerability hangover.
Mm.
I think during that time, I obviously felt very passionate and inspired about speaking out, and I did that. But I think once everything was said and done, looking back, I was just like, holy shit. I don't know what came over me. I don't know where I had that confidence, and I don't know if that was then an effect of things that happened or just like even with people in general. But I remember looking back and thinking like, wow, I kind of went into my shell a little bit after all of that.
I think it's a journey that lots of people went on. I mean, personally, I was new in motherhood and I didn't really do anything or say anything. I just stuck to myself. But I like I watched on social media lots of people sort of go through a big fight energy and then sort of come to the place of like, we don't need to fight anything. We don't need to do anything. We can just do what we want. Like these rules never applied to us anyway. We don't need to fight it. We can just not do it. But at the same time, like I was not like I'm grateful for the people that did stand up and say something because I wasn't totally there. Like for me, it was like I don't trust, allopathic medicine, and I'm scared of this scary virus. So I was really like in this like, oh, I don't
Mm.
believe in vaccines and I don't believe in my body. So I'm terrified. I'm like more scared than anyone. So for me, like learning, like I think it was, I don't know, I saw a video go around with what's his name? Tom.
Tom Barnett.
Yeah, the one that there is no
Yeah,
such, yeah,
I know
there is
the
no such thing as a virus. And I just like something about that just struck me as true. And I was like, whoa. And I remember I messaged my friend who shared it and said, like, what do you mean? What do you mean there's no such thing as a virus? And she never replied. But that video just like was enough that I was like, oh, okay, like there's something more here. And then when I found German new medicine, it was like much relief for me because I was like, oh, like I don't have to be scared of vaccines and I don't have to be scared of the
Mhm,
virus. And not that I'm
mhm.
saying that, like, not that I would ever risk getting a vaccine because I don't think, like I've had vaccines before as a teenager and a child, but I don't think you can just undo everything that you think and believe about them. So I wouldn't go out and get one. But at the same time, I had family members that had, and when I found out about Germany
Mhm.
medicine, it sort of made me think like maybe they will be okay. Maybe it's a bit more
Yeah.
complicated than how were your family and your community? Because in Darwin, it was really like it seemed like a lot of resistance to the vaccine and the mandates did come from the Greek community.
Yeah, well, it did. And back to what you shared about, like you were, in the middle with that fear. I think that's like where they wanted most people, to be
Mm,
honest. Look,
mm,
I think for us, our community, things were really tense. And I think a lot of it came from a religious perspective. And I just want to share if anyone's listening to this, like I'm not claiming that I know everything when it comes to, our religion, but there's a lot. There's actually a saint, one of our saints, so it's Greek Orthodox, our religion, who passed away, I think, in the 80s. And he actually had prophesied that there would be a sickness, a pandemic, and that they'd bring out a vaccine that they would force everyone to take. So for us, our community, there was a lot that in terms of what was happening that had been prophesized. So a lot of people had a lot of strength from that.
mm,
And that was a big reason as to why our community didn't want it. But there were also, like, that's not to say that everyone in our community was on the same page. And that's why there was, I guess, so much resistance. And I just think also, as culturally as well, being Greek, we are, and I've noticed this just a lot reflecting on what happened. Sometimes it can feel like Western society, everyone is like, people follow the rules. People really, follow the rules. People, if someone says like, don't step on that line, people won't step on that line. Culturally, we're not like that. It is like rules, yeah, they're a thing, but they're not something that you have to follow. We're loud, we're outspoken. Growing up, having a conversation with our family members, we yell and we scream. Like it doesn't mean we're having a fight. That's just how we communicate. And I just think that all of those things and all of those traits, and even just growing up, like, I went to school, I was so different to everyone. It was just like it was normal to be different.
Mm.
It wasn't a bad thing. It didn't mean anything, but you just accept that you're different to everyone. And I don't know, you don't really there's not a real desire to fit into everyone because, I don't know, we just celebrate so much of who we are as we are. So I think that's massive and that gave everyone so much confidence, and there's a lot of Greeks in Darwin. So I think it was just, I don't know, just everything aligned in terms of that. So the community was very outspoken. And yeah, I think it was good because I think we really helped. And I guess just like the journey that you explained, that's pretty much what happened to me as well. It was like, okay, I felt like I needed to be in this position of informing everyone. And, I just realized that then I was living again from another state of fear
Mm.
because it was just, I realized like how addictive that narrative is, like that truth and narrative. It's like I'm on to the next thing. And it's like I've got to interpret and decipher the next thing that's coming. And then I have to inform everyone about it. And it's just like I remember being on the beach in dry season, I think it was 2022. And I was just like looking at the water and I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I wasting so much time and energy being worried about things when I'm missing this?
Mm.
Like you said, like that's like this is freedom, like this is sovereignty. It's realizing that it's like they don't control me, and whether and I think that's just like fear is such a state of mind, and that's what they want you in constantly, like, whether you're afraid of, yeah, like is it the vaccine or whether you're afraid of what's to come. It's just like you're afraid either way.
Mm.
You're living in fear and you're paralyzed and you're not moving forward and you're not hopeful anymore. There's no more hope and faith. And I think that's what they want really, right? That's soul crushing. And I
Mm.
see so many people who experience that now and are in that state because of that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And another thing I just always remember growing up, like I grew up with lots of people that were really passionate about their health and really passionate about eating and clean living and all of that stuff, who were quite unwell. And I also remember having experiences of people that just, lived terribly and were happy, healthy
Smoke,
people.
drink,
Yeah. And it just being like something doesn't quite
add up.
add up. And, I do think that I think that when you make choices that are really aligned with your values and everything, that you get a lot of like goodness from that. Like that feels good, you feel positive about it. And so I think that does have an effect. So I don't think it's just a matter of like you can just do whatever you want and nothing matters at all. But I do think that it's like, are you getting more joy or more fear from what you're doing? And if there's more fear, then that will create problems. And if there's more joy, then you'll probably be all right.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's been my journey from the last probably 3 years. That's exactly what it's been about. 22 came around, as soon as we were able to travel, came to Greece in August of 22. So I think borders opened, I can't remember when, April 22, and we were out. And I remember coming to Greece, and it was just like I was experiencing everything for the first time again. And I promised myself I'm never going to take it for granted, because I really accepted that we're not going to travel again. I was
Mm.
like, that's it. Like, I'm bearing that cross. And when we came, I just remember it was like I was seeing everything for the first time again, the colors, the smells, like everything. I was just really embracing it. And that's when it was just like, that's it, living every single day as best as I can. Like, that's what I want to do. That's what I focus on. And then I came back to Darwin yeah, yep. So 22, we came overseas again in 23, came to Greece. And then when I came back to Australia, it was October 23. And, being back in Darwin, the wet season, that gets me, mentally, hits me quite hard. And I remember I needed something to do. I was like, all right, I need to get like back on my feet. I felt like I need to rebuild everything that I'd kind of lost over those years. So I had obviously seen a few women in my network doing Monat. And I remember the first time I actually, like, I had heard about it when it first came to Australia in 21. And I did think to myself at that time, I was like, that's a really good opportunity. Like I hadn't seen anyone doing hair, but I was not worried about that at that stage. And then I had seen a few women in my network and I had thought about doing it. And I'd actually said it to one of my friends. I was like, oh, what do you think of this? And she was like, yeah, that's cool, but I just kind of kept talking myself out of it. And then I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I saw Tay jumped on. So I saw Tay jumped on, and I was like, I would love to work with Tay because we had done Freedom Keepers together, which was, medical advocacy. And I had worked with her before, loved her energy, loved her tenacity, and just realized that I wanted to be part of whatever she was doing. So I thought to myself, I'm going to message her. It's like no pressure. I'm going to message her and ask her how much it would cost to get products, and because I knew the background with network marketing, I knew that if I joined as a distributor, I'd get a further discount. So I was like, just tell me what I need to do. And yeah, I think she sent me the link. Like I didn't even question it, signed up straight away. And I thought to myself, okay, like I'm going to try the products. I'm going to share my experience on my page because that's what I do. And if I like them, I'm going to talk about them. And if not, like there's no pressure. I really went to that experience thinking to myself, I'm just going to like let the journey unfold. I have no expectation of this. And I tried the products, had a massive negative relationship with my hair my whole life, always been really unruly, difficult to manage. I've tried to do everything I can to hide it and maintain it and manage it. And I decided to dive into it, love the products. And then, geez, that's just been another massive journey the last, 20.
Mm. Your hair is very shiny. I was just looking at it. You definitely
Thank you.
mermaid hair.
Thank you. It's come a very long way, I'll tell you that. Yeah, yeah. So that really excited me a lot, and I felt that just at that time in my life, I really needed direction again. Like I needed direction and I needed purpose, I feel like the wet season can be really difficult
Mm.
mentally and emotionally, and I needed something to be excited about. And I knew that if I came into this space, just the community and the aspect of it all, like I knew that was what I needed because I'd had that before.
Mm.
So I came into it and it's just been the most amazing journey, like the last, 20 months. I have gained so much from it. I really feel like I have overcome a lot of the fears that I had the first time that I was doing it, especially about growing a team and helping other women. And yeah, it's just like this massive part of my life now. And it's something that I look forward to doing every day. And to be honest, I feel like it's really given me, it ticks a lot of boxes for me because I think my hair has been such a huge part of my identity my whole life. I've like people would refer to me based on my hair. I'd be like the Greek girl with the big ponytail, I love obviously sharing and also I love the growth aspect of it. And I was looking for a way to monetize my social media,
Mm.
because I knew that there was an opportunity to do that, and I was doing it, with little things like affiliate marketing, and it's just that's not really worth your time, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I'd been sort of interested in network marketing from, I don't know, from a few different companies. And I remember seeing Monat and I saw Tay launch it. And I think for me, I felt like, oh, she's too famous. She's too professional. Like I could never do it like that. So that's too out of reach or whatever. And then I remember, like, as I shared, that we lived close to each other and we used to always go to the cafe and see you and your mum there when my son was a little baby and he was very cute. So everyone would smile at us. And then I remember during the COVID times that you guys stopped going to the cafe because the cafe made you wear a mask.
They refused service when I was being served outside because I wasn't wearing a mask
Yeah.
when I had an exemption.
Yeah. I think my husband used to put his shirt like this and order, which was ridiculous, but that was like
Got to do what you got to do,
but
right?
anyway, but I noticed that you guys stopped going, and I was like, "Oh, like they must be against the vaccines. Like we should be friends." And I remember I would see you and think like, "Oh, how can I be friends with Irena?" And then when I saw you doing Monat, I was like, "Oh, like she's in Darwin, she's doing Monat. Like maybe I can do it." And I think as well seeing Zoe's page, and Zoe is just quite funny and like she and she has lots of little
Polar
kids,
opposite.
and she'd do things where I feel like, oh, that feels really like real, and like you don't have to be a certain person to do it, because I'm just never going to be polished. Like it's just not going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
And to see someone just sort of show up with their kids in the background and things, I was like, oh, okay. And I think for me, that was like, all right, like maybe I'll do it. And then I think one morning, just got so annoyed with my hair in the wet season, and I just chopped it all off to like shoulder length. And then I was really sad, and I was like, I want to grow my hair back. I want to grow my hair back, but I don't want it to be this knotty mess. So, yeah, that was what made me sign up with you. And then I was just sort of thinking about what you said about being Greek and always being different, and that not being a big deal. And I was wondering if that also sort of helps you online. I think one thing that I feel about showing up online sometimes is I feel a little bit like, and I'm sure everyone feels like this, but there's sort of pressure to be better or further ahead than you are. And it's like, I don't want any kind of fakeness. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to jump online and just be like, "Ugh," and like have a cry about your
Mm.
life. So it's like balancing this, like, how do I show up authentically as who I am, where I'm at, not have a pity party, show the good things, but also not just show the good things. Like, how do you balance all of that? How do you do it?
Well, I think it comes back to I'm probably not the right person to ask because I mean, I think it comes back to what we shared before about alignment. It's just like what feels right for you. Because personally, I don't like showing up online if I don't feel good. I don't like showing up online if I don't feel good. And it's not like my first instinct isn't to share when things are shit, to
Mm.
be honest. Like I don't, yeah, and I actually struggle with that whole idea of like, you got to share like the really vulnerable and like shitty moments. And I'm like, I get it, but it's not my like natural instinct to want to be like, hey guys, I'm having a really shit day and everything's going really wrong for me.
Yeah.
So that's actually something that I've had to learn to do and be more okay with. But for me, naturally, and I don't know if this comes back to like, human design or what it is, I want to inspire people. That's whatever every like what I do and what I share really comes from that place. And I want to be, I want things to feel, I want people to come to my page and I want them to feel a certain way. I want people to feel light and happy and hopeful and positive and excited. So I think for me, they're really the things that I focus on. So I don't think I do the balancing so well, but I think sharing, it's obviously something that, yeah, what's in alignment for you, what feels good for you. And I do make more of an effort to be like, this is what's going on, this is what I'm struggling at the moment. Because, like you said, I think we connect with that, right? Like that's humanness. And I personally don't like I don't follow influencers. I really like seeing average people doing amazing things, and I'm often turned off by like if someone's got a really high follower account, like 100K, I'm like, immediately I'm like, I can't relate to you. I can't
Mm.
connect with this. Even if their content's really good. Yeah. So I feel like showing up online, that's definitely been part of it. I think, obviously like culture and the confidence, but also it's just a skill. It's definitely a skill that you work on and you build. And I think for me, the most challenging thing, and I really struggled after COVID as well, was being seen. And I think that had a lot to do with feeling like everyone was judging me. And especially because, again, coming from a small community, right? Because it's easy to show up on my page when I know that I'm connecting with strangers. It's really difficult when I see that 10 people from my local church just started following me. Then all of a sudden it's like, my gosh, like that makes me feel sick, but again, it's just something that I don't know, you have to have to learn to overcome, or just like repeat the man in the arena quote, it's not the critic who counts. I just like keep telling myself that, like I want to be the person who's actually giving something a go, getting it wrong, failing while doing it, rather than to be the person, who's critiquing from the sidelines.
Mm.
I guess that's yeah, my philosophy when it comes to that. But I think you do a great job of sharing authentically. You do stories, like you show up as you are, and I think that's the
Yeah.
best thing you can do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I've always been, I don't know, incredibly honest. Like, it makes me feel really, really uncomfortable and really sort of sick if I try to lie or pretend at all. It makes me, but I remember that many years ago, like probably, I don't know, 2017 or something, I deleted all my social media and I was really annoyed. I felt like whenever I met someone, they thought they knew me because I'd shared so much online. And I felt like that's not me. Like that's my opinion on a few things. Like, and yeah, I felt this big sort of resistance to like, I don't want someone to just look me up and think that they know who I am or that they or then to not talk to me about certain things because they think they already know my opinion on it or something. So I think that was a big thing for me coming back online and being willing to share of I don't know, maybe it's just part of getting older as well to just feel like, oh well, like it doesn't really matter if what people think of, if they get the wrong idea then.
That's a really that's a really good point, Bart,
Mm.
what you just shared there, because I felt that a lot, but I felt the opposite. I wanted people to know what my opinions were on certain things because then I feel like it would filter everyone else out.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Because I hate small talk. Like I'm like, like don't if I just have to dance around this thing. So I feel like if everyone knows what my opinions are, then if they want to be my friend, like if you want to be my friend, that means you actually want to be my friend. And what I'm gonna say isn't gonna turn you off, or because I had that experience a lot. Especially like those years, I'd be like, and it would hold me back from making friends because I'd be so afraid that I was going to say something, or because for me, something that like a value of mine is I don't want to hide who I am. If we're having a conversation, I want to be able to say what I truly think about something without the fear, without thinking that it's going to upset you or it's going to, turn you off or whatever. So for me, it was just like I wanted people to know those things because then it meant that if that went beyond, like a conversation, the friendship was real or genuine. So it's quite interesting to see that,
I think that's the
the
thing.
different perspective on it.
Yeah, I think I was probably too argumentative when I was younger as well. So I think that people would be like,
Weren't we all?
so I got the feeling that people just wouldn't talk to me about anything because they're like, oh no, Marley's going to start. And I was like, no, I'm a complicated person that's actually quite reasonable if when you get,
But
yeah.
that's that's it comes across like that on socials,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Because when you sit down and have a conversation with someone in person, generally it's like much more complex and nuanced, and most people are reasonable.
It's a funny
Yeah.
It's a funny time to be alive. I think another thing I always remember, like my grandmother saying, like, why are people posting pictures of their lunch? Like, I don't want to see what someone's eating for lunch. And just her sort of like, and she's like, people share so much online. And sometimes when I'm
Yeah.
sharing, that sort of voice comes up, and I feel like, yeah, like, do I want random people to know my life? Like,
Mm.
I don't know the answer to that. Some of it, in some way, I feel like, who cares? Like, I really believe that we get so much medicine out of other people's stories. So it's like, I'm happy for people to take what they need from my stories, just like I do from everyone else who is like willing to share their stuff. And then sometimes there also is a part of me that feels like it is weird. It is weird. Like, online life is weird.
Especially when you share a lot and other people don't. I find that, I'm like, oh, you like if I see someone, I'm like, you probably know what I've been up to all day, and I have no idea what you've done. I don't know what time you woke up. I don't know if you exercised. I don't know if you ate. I don't know, But I think again, it's like alignment. Like, does that, like, I love sharing, especially through imagery and visuals. Really, I love that creative side of it. I love making reels. I love putting sounds to pictures and audio, and again, like making people feel a certain thing through that. So I just think it's like if that excites you and gives you joy, that probably outweighs what you're feeling. But I also think you need to be like smart about what you're sharing.
Mm.
Um, yeah, just like for many different reasons.
Yeah, I remembered. So another thing that made me, I think the moment that I decided to buy a car off you was when you shared about book club. And I was like, I have been trying to start a book club for years. And it's just like what my book club usually is that I read a book and I start a Telegram group and I put all my friends in it and then I harass them to read the book with me and send them like,
That sounds like something else.
send them like summaries of each chapter, and no one ever reads the book. And yeah, when I saw you sharing about them on the Helios book club, and then I was like, and I think I saw also a few people sharing about like, yeah, this idea of like, how do you make friends in your 30s? Like, you know, when you're young, you have school, you have uni, you might have sports groups, you know, and then it becomes work. But what about like if you're a stay-at-home mum, and like how do you make friends with people? And I think it's a thing that a lot of women feel, and you know, especially a lot of mothers that I speak to, is like the only people that I really talk to now are the friends of like my children's my children's friends' parents. And you know, it's like I want to have conversations with other adults about adult things. And so yeah, I think that's another huge part of Monat is the community. Can you speak a little bit about our team and the community that you've found through Monat?
Yeah, definitely. Well, again, it was like coming back to, I wanted to be part of Tay's community because I had been part of her communities in the past. And I had connected with a lot of the women who were part of Freedom Keepers, and a lot of them were, doing Mona, whether that was just like basically who Tay joined through. So Tay's upline, Amelia, she was also part of Freedom Keepers. So I just knew that coming into this space, it felt safe because again, I knew that I was gonna, if I jumped on a team call and something came up, I could, express myself authentically. And I also knew just, I guess, the personal development side of things. So I wanted in on the community and her mentoring program. Like she was offering an 8-week mentoring program based on, things that had nothing to do with the business, but basically we'd get access to. So, I obviously wanted to bring other women in on that journey because I knew what, exploring, I guess, these themes and being part of these spaces, like you said, just being on a call and listening to other people share their story, I knew how much I had to gain from that, and I knew that could change someone's life. So I guess for me, it was really part of also, creating a community of people where I could bring that together as well. So that's what I wanted to do through Helios. And one of the girls actually brought up this idea of doing a book club. I think everyone has, their own zone of genius and their own incredible values and gifts to share. As soon as she said she wanted to do that, I was like, obviously being the manifester that I am, I was like, look, I'm not going to do the book club. If you want to take it on and do it, like go for it. Yeah, so she started doing that, and I think the best part of our community has been to see the glow up and just this blossoming that the women have when they become part of, Monat and our team. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like obviously the products work, everyone has amazing hair, but you just really get to see people shine and blossom. I don't know. I think it's obviously a whole range of things, but I think the community has obviously like a massive part of it, a
Yeah.
lot to do with it.
Yeah, and so in German New Medicine, hair loss is separation conflicts. So that can be something you want to separate from, but you can't, or something that you don't want to be separated from, but you can't connect to. And so me and my friend Lorraine used to watch people's hair journeys and say, like, is it the product or is it the community? Like, is it just that they found all these friends and they're all happy and that's making their hair grow? And yeah, I get again, I think all these things are really complicated. Like I think that obviously the products are great. And how do you feel about it? What else, like the other side effects of doing something that makes you feel good about yourself and that connects you with other people?
Yeah, exactly. And I think hair is a massive part of that. I mean, I think hair just in general, even more from like a spiritual level, I think like I've read things about, your hair being linked to intuition.
Mm.
I believe that. So I think there's just all of these things, and even like your femininity. I think like cutting your hair and having your hair short, I think those things are big statements. And people say, like, if you want to change your life, cut your hair, or, and I think that's real on an energetic level as well.
Mm.
Yeah, so the community is just amazing. I'm really keen to know what has been your experience since you've like obviously joined, just like being part of the community and I guess being on the inside of it.
My honest experience is that I feel like I still haven't really made enough time for it. I've missed a lot of the team calls, and I guess it's one of those things that I'm like, yeah, I'll join because I want community and I want friends. And then it's like it's hard to make the time. And
Mm.
I also still feel like, like I really want to grow my hair. I'm really happy with the results that I've gotten so far. So that is, I do my thing every day. I put in my products. I wash my hair once a week. I give myself to scalp massages. I'm impressed with my results and I'm happy to keep sharing about it and keep going. And I feel like it is a good thing about our team and about Monat that I don't feel pressure. Like I feel like the team is there when I want it and that I will get more involved
Yeah.
when I can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think it also depends on like really what you want from it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's kind of like if I think it's like if you want more of just like the social aspect and it's just like this thing that I can tap into when I want, or like for the perks of it, or is it something that I want because I really want to, get that extra income? Like I think everyone's approach to it is going to be different. And I also think it takes time. Like I feel like most of the women who come into it, very rarely you'll have someone who will come in and just like really, go with it like straight off the bat. I think people take their time, to feel around, feel what's right. Yeah, but I think the fact that like the community is there and is quite constant is very
Mm.
helpful because it means that you can kind of do your thing out here, take your time and then tap into it when and as you need.
Yeah, and as I've said from the start, like I want like my short-term goal is like my own hair. And my long-term goal is definitely the income and creating a life from it and income from it. And I think another thing that I love about Monat and perhaps just network marketing in general is how you really like I've seen other women how they do make it quite their own. You like all of New Season and all of Tay's team has a Tay vibe to it. And then within Helios, like it has an Irena vibe to it. And then I can see that in the future as well of like what would my team look like? And it would involve human design and German new medicine and all the things that I'm into. And I love that it's like I think network marketing is an amazing experience to sort of bring all of who you are and all of your skills to build something with other people with like a structure that's already there.
You just like hit the nail on the head. Exactly what it is. And you see that, and that's why I think, like you see so many different, like you said, just like ways that women are doing it. And
Mm.
that's like you're gonna join someone, I guess, that you align with or something that you see, and the reason that someone, I guess, like the reason that I joined Tay might be obviously a different reason as to why someone joined, a different leader like over here. It's obviously like what you connect and what you align with. But I agree. I think it just helps people really bring all of their passions, like I think it's such a multifaceted thing. I
Mm.
think that's what I love most about it. It's like it's got so many different elements to it. There is like the community and the team building, then there is this like product, and then there is a more like structured like the income and the comp plan. Like there's just so much to it, and I think that as a person as well, I think for people beginning as well, I think there are so many skills that you can learn because of it that then you can apply to whatever you want.
And I do love so much the idea that it's like that you can really be yourself because it's like network marketing doesn't care who you are. It's about like, do you sell products? Do people sign up with you? That's all. And I remember one of my first jobs, or not first, but early jobs, I used to work at the airport when I was like early 20s. And it was this role where I felt like I could not be myself at all. Like it felt like there was so much of me that had to be hidden for that job. And I remember that when I left, I was like, I'm never going to do that again. Like, I'm never going to do something where I have to be such a different person to do the job. And I did take jobs where I had to do that again, but many
Yeah.
years later. Yeah. Anyway, I know that you have to go. So, where are you going today? What's your adventure?
Thank you.
Make us
So
jealous,
we're
booger.
actually friends. Our friends have a boat here, so we're gonna go out. We're gonna spend the day out on the water, probably exploring a little coastal beach.
So, where can people find you, Irena? Everyone, go check
Yeah.
out
So the
Irena's
best.
page to see beautiful grease spam.
Yeah, that's just the best place to find me is on Instagram. My handle's green with Irena, and you'll see beautiful crystal clear water on when you're watching it. But at the moment, yeah, that's pretty much summing up my feed. But it
Wonderful.
was so good to chat with you, Melly. Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. And
Um, Thank you for listening to Here on Earth. I hope today's conversation gave you something to think about, feel into, or explore more deeply. We had to jump off the call pretty quickly because Irena was going island hopping and my children wanted me. But I asked Irena to pop back on just to speak about a few things, specifically about Monat and the business partnership, and to go through some of the products that we use. So if you're interested in anything we're sharing about today, stick around and I'm going to ask Irena to tell us about product packs and signing up as a market partner. Thanks, guys. So, Irena, can you
Yeah,
tell us about the product packs?
definitely. So basically, joining as a market partner means you have the option to do the business if you want, but you're basically joining as a wholesaler and you get extra further discount. So the pack that both Melly and I started on was the Essentials Hair Kit. And when I had a look at them, that one just made the most sense because you get to choose a system. So you get a whole system, which is 3 products, and it is going to look different depending on the products that you need or what your hair goals are. For example, I got the hydration system because that was my goal at the time. Melly got the repair system, which helps to with growth and reparation. But you will get a custom shampoo, conditioner, and a treatment. And that might be a mask if it's from the hydration system or a spray from the growth. And then with this pack, the thing I love about it is you get the most incredible value. You will also get the Rejuva beads, which is our split end mender. And I actually remember like when I was inquiring about the products, because you use them on yourself, and that's something that I really love. Like the products that you come in to have a business with. Tay said to me, she was like, "You need the Rejuva beads," and I'm like, "What the hell are Rejuva beads?" Like in my head, I was imagining actual beads, but it's just it's just the beautiful product that helps to repair your split ends. You'll also get our Rejuvenique oil, which is our most popular product, and that is basically a scalp treatment, also a serum that you can apply to your ends. You get the black shampoo. You also get, which is a men's or a thickening growth shampoo. You also get a dry shampoo. And if you are listening to this, there's also a little promotion on before the 1st of July. If you get in touch with Mally, you'll actually get an extra free Rejuvenique oil and a free Rejuva beads. But otherwise, the hair essentials pack that we both started with, you get a custom set, so 3 products plus another Rejuvenique, Rejuva beads, dry shampoo, black shampoo, another four products, which is a really great value for 385 Australian dollars.
And you get a bunch of samples.
Yes.
Yeah. Um,
Yep. So you get this, yeah, it's great value. Like you get a whole bunch of samples of our skincare products and our hair products, which obviously you can use, to start your business or you can use on yourself, which is kind of what I did.
Yeah, I gave away all the hair samples and I have been testing the
Uh,
skin samples to see what I would like to try out. Could you go through a little bit about the different ways to make money through Monat and what
mm,
opportunities are available?
yeah, so I guess the most basic way is when you get a customer. So you share the products with someone else. That's called you get a VIP customer. We also sell at retail, but it's not something that I ever talk about because I don't want someone to pay full price for something when they can get a further discount. So when someone joins you as a customer, you'll make 15% commission off of what they've purchased, and you'll get paid that the following week. So any sales that I made last week, I actually today just got an email that I was paid on those sales. So that's obviously going to depend on your personal sales, and you can do that. You can get paid every single week. So you can get paid up to 5 times a month with our weekly pay. And then we get our bonus check, and that comes in on the 15th of every month. And that is where your team building efforts are displayed. So if I was to show you my monthly pay, there's I think like 10 different areas in which you get paid. So we'll also get an extra one off of our personal sales if we make a certain amount. So if I hit a bracket, like a percentage of my personal sales, on my monthly bonus, I'll get an extra, 3. or 2 or up to 10% of that, which can be really amazing. Like if you're a strong personal seller, that can really add up. Like I've seen some of the girls' checks and some of that part, and I'm just like, damn, that's a lot of money. And then you get paid off of if someone in your team hits a promotion, if they hit a certain bonus. If your team makes a certain amount of sales, there are, many different ways. Another one that I know a lot of people are interested in is the Motor Club program. And that is when you hit the rank of, I believe it's Market Mentor, which is like the middle of the compensation plan, to be honest. It's not right at the top. And you will be eligible to receive a payment that can go towards a vehicle. So every month you get paid a certain amount, and it is a vehicle that you go and choose. You go out and get it if you want it. Obviously, you still need to make smart financial decisions when you're taking something on. But basically, if you hit that rank, you will receive a specific payment that you can put towards that. And then there are other things like our incentive trips. So I was able to qualify for an incentive trip within the first, I think it was 8 months of doing the business, 8 or 9 months. And I actually went to Mexico. So they do 2 incentive trips a year. They will do an international one, which is our passport trip, and they will do a local one, which is our reunion trip. So passport and reunion are all inclusive. And Zoe and I actually both went to Mexico in November last year, November 2024. And that was just the most incredible thing ever because, like I shared earlier in the episode, I did network marketing for quite a few years prior. And I did go on one trip, like half qualified, and I was able to pay for the rest of it. So, for example, I earned my accommodation, but I had to pay for my flights. When I qualified for this trip to Mexico, I did not pay a cent. The only thing that I paid for was my travel insurance and my food, like going there and coming back. When I was there, I didn't pay a cent, and we stayed at the Hilton in Tulum, which is an incredible resort. And it was such an amazing experience. In my mind, I was like, okay, yeah, it's all inclusive, but it's probably going to be a bit dodgy. Like, how amazing can it be? And it was incredible. We had an amazing time. All you can eat buffet, even the room service was free. Like it was insane. And it was really incredible being able to connect with other women in the industry because that trip was global. So we had women from America, there were women from the UK, we met some girls from Europe. Yeah, it was so cool. And then the next passport trip they did was to the Maldives, and Zoe was actually able to qualify for that. So she went in May of this year. So they actually flew her 2 times now. They've flown her from Greece. So the first time Greece to Mexico, and just now she went to the Maldives with her youngest son, and they had the most incredible time there. Again, all inclusive, didn't pay a cent, incredible resort. And at the moment, we're in our qualification period for our passport trip, our reunion trip, which is our local trip. And that is happening this November at the Gold Coast I think the resort is the Langham, which is a really, bougie resort on the Gold Coast. And there are quite a few of us actually who are really close to qualifying that. So they put these trips on all the time. I think in terms of what you can get out of it, it's just, well, what do you want? I'm actually quite motivated by the trips. The trips, really do it for me because I love traveling, so yeah, there's so much on offer.
Could you also speak a little bit about the leadership in Monat?
Yeah, there are so many incredible women, honestly, and they are not your typical, like, I think something that I was really surprised about when I went to Mexico was seeing a lot of the, leaders in the company was just the diversity within the women and so many mothers, like so many incredible mothers, so many from different backgrounds, different industries. There are hairdressers, there is, like just mothers who didn't have a qualification behind them. People who were on welfare, I think like just some of the stories that you hear people who really came from nothing and were able to, who really have a legacy now because of what they've decided to do. I think that's something that I love about this industry is that you can, like, sales doesn't care about your background. This is a sales doesn't matter, what your qualifications are, what you've done. Daniel G, actually, I don't know if you follow him, but he's got some really great talks on sales and how it doesn't discriminate. And I think that was really evident when you see the women that are part of this. And I mean, even if you look at Tay, a Polynesian woman with 3 children living on a farm, like, she's not your typical influencer. And I think that people often are intimidated when they see that these women are, maybe if you come across a leader and you have a look at their following and you see that they've got a really big number of, like, a really high following number, you automatically credit their success to that. But I think it's really important to think about these women most often have been building community for a really, really long time. And I think that is evident with a lot of the leaders in this space. Yeah, you'd be really surprised. Some live on farms, others travel 6 months here, 6 months there. Yeah, it's just, there's a very diverse range. And even in Australia, a lot of the young and up and coming leaders are young Australian women. Erica King, who's an Indigenous woman, even just her story, she's come from absolutely nothing. And what she has been able to create, Malahi Davis, another young woman, like, they're just absolutely killing it in this space. And it's because the opportunity is there. And if you've got an incredible drive and vision and work ethic, you can achieve so much. But yeah, what do you think when you look at the leadership? Is it what you expected?
I think that one of the things when I was interested, I think Tay shared something about how many people have become millionaires through Monat, and she said that, like, majority of mothers are self-made. And I think she had a whole story about, like, like, this is where I want to put my money, this is who I'd like to see win. And I remember feeling like, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't mind that too.
Well, and I think even the statistics in network marketing, most women who earn like a certain amount, I don't know exactly what the statistic is, but most women who have like an incredible income are in network marketing and they are the mothers.
Mm.
I mean, it just works. It
Mm.
it just works. It's something that you can do whenever you want. And you see the women, even on the trips, they're with their babies. Obviously, that's a choice, but they have their babies with them.
Mm.
Like, there are many times in which we will be on a call with Tay and she'll have her daughter on the boob, or, like, someone's coming in. That's just how it is. That's the beauty of this job, is that you're going to do it alongside in the time that you have.
Yeah.
And mothers get shit done. Like, I have so many women in my own team who are mothers, and they are absolutely incredible, smart, intelligent, hardworking, passionate women.
Yeah, I think it's funny that lots of mothers, like myself included, you always say, like, "Oh, I wish I did it before you had kids," but it's like, I didn't do anything before you had kids. Like, you look back and you think you had all this time, but actually, I don't know, you used it in other ways.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. If you give a mother half an hour, I'm sure
Mm.
she'll get way more done than someone who doesn't have children.
Yeah.
I'm really, really inspired about the mothers. Like, obviously, I'm not in that season of my life. So I find it a little bit difficult to, obviously, when I'm sharing my experience of how I run my business, it's not the same as a mother would, So I obviously can't talk from personal experience with that. But I see the way that the mothers show up, and I just think to myself every day, I'm like, geez, if I have excuses and I, can't be bothered doing this or question I guess it's more in terms of, I'm not feeling good today. I'm just like, imagine having kids, Irena. Like, some of these women have children and are absolutely smashing it.
Mm.
And in America, there's a really big community of women, military wives. And I'm watching one at the moment, Amanda Johnson, and I think she's got 5 kids, and she's about to move to Peru, and she's doing this business. And I'm so inspired by, like, you're moving, you're still working your business, you're getting paid thousands of dollars to help other women with their hair and to help connect. And back to what we were speaking about earlier, it's just, I think women get so much value from helping other women. I think that innately that is part of what we are meant to do. And I think even the way that, our society used to be in terms of a village and the women being with the women and the men being with the men. I just think that this is almost like the modern day version of that storytelling. I mean, that's what women do when you get together. You share stories, you learn from each other.
Yeah, it's so good. That just reminded me. I think so many people have like this cringe towards network marketing, or like there's like some kind of, I don't really get it, because once you get it, then once you see it, then you're like, who would be against this? Like it's like you're just telling people about things you like. But I remember a story from someone, I can't remember her name, but she was saying the idea of network marketing and affiliate marketing, this concept is like one of the oldest things in the world. It's like, like back in the day, if someone was selling potatoes and you went and got your friends and brought them over to buy some potatoes, like you'd get a potato out of it. You got the customer, you brought it to the person that needed to sell it, and you get some of the profit. And that was just common sense, understood reciprocity. And what's the alternative, that like all the money goes to, like, I don't know, the person that owns the trademark on potatoes or something? Like, why wouldn't you prefer that it
Yeah.
goes to like, the people that told you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, I see it even here. Like at the moment in Greece, I'm in a village, and a lot of the families, because we're in a village, they sell goat's cheese, fresh goat's cheese, goat's milk, eggs. They sell, their roosters, their like all of these things. And I overhear conversations where someone is referring someone else, and they say, "Go and get your eggs off of that person because their eggs are really nice."
Mm.
It's so natural. And I just tell people all the time, I don't think network marketing is for everyone, but it is for anyone,
Mm.
right? Because people have different preferences when they're looking for something. Some people like going to a 9 to 5. I actually think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people like going to a 9 to 5 and checking out of life for 8 hours.
Mm.
I have that conversation with people quite a lot actually, but not everyone's built for that. Some people don't want to do that. Some people seek opportunities in other places. And for me, I don't know, from the first time I heard about it, it just made sense.
Mm.
And I love the model and I love the industry because I think it's really easy to come into. Everything's set up for you. You have a website. You're not dealing with postage and distribution, and even customer service. Like you get to touch on an element of those things, because obviously if I bring someone on that's my customer, I'm still going to look after them. And a role of customer service does play out in that. But I'm not dealing with shipping labels and packing orders, but I'm talking about things that I love and that I use on myself. And especially in this day and age where people are really relying on others to give recommendations, like in terms of social media. If you're watching someone like an influencer who has 200,000 followers and they've got really beautiful hair, and whether that is genetically or because of products they use and take care of, a brand can pay them to talk about a certain product and they might not even be using it.
Mm.
Chances are, I mean, like, I don't know, if someone's doing like a hair page, are they really going to be changing their products all the time, trying different hair products? Possibly, but also probably someone's found what they love and that's just what they're using consistently.
Mm.
But if you're getting paid to, talk about something that you're not using, I don't know. Whereas I just feel like with us, they're products that we love and use. We've got so many products. I pretty much 90% of the time I'm talking about the ones that I use
Mm.
because that's just been my experience.
Well, thank you for sharing that. If anyone is listening, if you're curious about the products, if you want to try them, if you're curious about the business, you can message me or message Irena and have a chat. There's never any pressure to. I think that's actually something that held me back for a while, that I wanted to ask people, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy them. So I was like, oh, I don't want to message them until I'm sure. And then since being in the business and hearing everyone's like, no, 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 reach out anytime. Of course, I'm happy to talk about it. There's never any pressure. You can do what you want and ask whatever you like. So if you're listening and you're curious about anything, that's, Irena had a story up the other day saying, please bother me. Like, I'm here to be bothered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, I used to say to people all the time, it's a conversation.
Mm.
You have complete autonomy and free will to continue engaging in the conversation and to respond and reply. And a question is a question. Some people ask me, is there a deadline if I join or any, people want to know what they're getting into. And I'm happy to answer that question. And the answer is no, there's not. You could buy your product pack as a market partner today. You could get it, and that would be it. If you did nothing with it because something happened and life came along, or you changed your mind, nothing would happen. You're not locked into anything. There's no direct debit. Like, you, as a market partner, you're not committed to anything. You don't need to make X amount of sales. There's no deadlines, anything like that. It is completely up to you what you decide to do.
That just made me think as well the difference between buying a product pack and becoming a market partner and buying a product to try it out as a VIP. And some people say that they just want to buy a couple of products and try it out first. And when I bought it, I was like, I'm just going to buy a couple of products and try it out, but I'm going to buy a product pack so I can then try it all out. And if I like it, I can sell it straight away. So I just wanted to mention that as well, that, like you just said, there's no pressure when you buy it to do anything with it. But if you love it and you start sharing about it straight away, then you can start making money straight away. So
Yeah. Well, I was the same. I messaged Tay and I said, I want to buy products. I'll probably get the product pack because I know that you're going to get a further discount. Am I locked into anything? Because again, I know that different companies obviously have different requirements. And she was like, nope, get the product pack, try the products. If you want to keep using them, you do. If you want to sell them, do whatever you want. And I was like, done. And then I started using them and I was like, oh my God, everyone needs this hair. Everyone needs this shampoo. And that's the thing with these products, is that everyone washes their hair. Everyone, like, men, women, like it's something that everyone uses. We all have hair. So yeah, if you're curious, send us a message. No pressure. We're normal people, not normal, but
normalish, normalish,
exactly.
approachable people.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
it. That's a better word.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining me. I will talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
Melly.
Bye.